Whether you just turned 18 and you're just getting started on your credit journey, or you've had credit established for a while, but it's just not exactly where it needs to be, then here is the exact step-by-step blueprint on exactly how to get an 800 plus credit score as fast as possible. Check it out. Your credit score is the most single important factor to your financial health. Your FICO score determines and will dictate the most expensive purchases of your life. So that's things like a car, a home, if you're starting a business, all have interest rates. And if you're not aware of what makes up your FICO score, this is going to lead to you paying tens and thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest rates, getting denials for credit cards, housing, cars, you name it. Or you could follow the 5 simple steps to get an 800 credit score. So in this video, we're going to dissect and reverse engineer what it takes to get up to that 800 plus credit score, even if you're just starting off as a newbie, or if you've already had credit built out for a while and it's just not where it needs to be. So make sure to stick to the very end, because I got some awesome tips that's going to exponentially fast track your success. And as usual, I always got some awesome hookups if you guys stick to the end. So make sure to stay around. And if you are new to the channel, you already know this is MTV. The M is for Miggle Money Motivation. Let's get into it. And something I do want to preface, as much as I wish it was this easy, this is not something that's going to change overnight. You know, building up your credit score is like a muscle. You can't just go to the gym once or a couple times a week and just expect to get results overnight. You know, it's the same thing with increasing your FICO score. It's not just going to happen. It does take time, but over time, you're going to see results. And luckily, it's not going to be as hard as actually going to the gym and lifting weights. You just really need to make sure you understand the main key factors that play a role into your actual FICO score. Before we start going into all the different factors that make up your FICO score, the first thing we want to do is create an identity IQ account. This basically shows you your credit score and file for all 3 bureaus for Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. There's a bunch of different providers out there. I recommend Identity IQ just because you are able to get your reports for 7 days just for $1. So use the link that I have. It's an affiliate link. So I do get a kickback if you guys continue to use it. But if you just need to check out your credit score for the one time, then just pay the $1 to get it for 7 days, print it out, and then you'll have it for a while. All right, so from Identity IQ, you're gonna make the account, you're gonna sign in, it's gonna ask you for your social so it can pull up your account. And right here from the dashboard, immediately it shows you your credit scores. I got phenomenal credit because I've been doing this for a while. You're gonna go to view most recent report. And now that you're at your credit report, the main thing you wanna look at is one, what your credit scores are. So we already saw that for TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. We got it all right here. But the other thing we wanna look at is the summary. This is gonna show you all your type of accounts, open accounts, close accounts, the type of negatives, your balances, payments, public records, any negatives or inquiries. This is all going to be important because all the stuff they're showing here all play a role into what your FICO score is going to be. So we want to see if there are any negatives, that we address that here and we know where those are coming from. So now that we know what's actually on our credit report, let's talk about the 5 key factors that make up your credit score. So number 1, we got payment history, utilization, credit age, number of inquiries, and then the credit mix. Your payment history is by far the most important factor to your credit score. This is responsible for 35% of your credit score, and your payment history is basically how reliable are you to make the payments that you promise to make. If you want to get an 8 plus credit score, your payment history has to be 100%. You could have never missed anything, at least within the last 7 years. Because anytime you get any sort of late payments, those types of negatives stay on your file for 7 years. And until that 7 years is up, it's just going to be showing as a blemish on your credit report card. But luckily, you do have a couple options. You don't have to wait the full 7 years if you do have negatives on your credit file, because you could also always go with the option of credit repair. You could always go the do-it-yourself route. It does take a little bit more work and studying. You might make some mistakes, but hey, it's free. You just got to take the time to do it. Or you could go through the done-for-you credit repair route. That is something my company offers. So if you guys do need help with that, I'm more than happy to help you guys out. But if you want to learn more, there's going to be somewhere on the screen a link to that credit repair video. If you do have negatives, whether you go the done for you or do it yourself route, definitely do it, because that process is usually anywhere between 30 to 90 days. You could get bankruptcies, late payment collections, and stuff like that. off removed. And it's a hell of a lot better than waiting 7 years versus just a couple of months to start increasing your score. The number one way to avoid any sort of late payments and getting 100% payment history is just to simply set up auto pay. As soon as you get your credit card or whatever loan for, I don't know, a car loan or a home loan, immediately set up auto pay, connect it directly to your checking account, whatever it is. Especially with credit cards, it's super easy. The options right there, straight from the app. A lot of lenders will let you do that just because they don't want you to have to ever come late and have to chase you out for that money. So make sure to do that option from the very beginning. It's so easy to get approved for, let's say, a credit card. You start spending on it and just forget about it because it's brand new. You haven't made any payments on it, so you aren't used to it. So just make sure you set up auto payment from the very beginning. And even if you cannot pay it off in full, at least set up the minimum payment. With credit cards, you will be getting charged a slight interest rate to it since you're not paying it off in full. But hey, if you're making the minimum payment, at least you're not having to get hit with the late payments for not making the minimum. The second most important factor to your FICO score is utilization. This makes up 30% of your credit score. And typically, general rule of thumb, you want to keep it below 30%. But if you want to be in that 800 plus, A plus credit report card, then you're going to want to be below 7% utilization. Basically, your utilization is a reflection of how much you're being lent out to and how much you're actually using. So let's say on a credit card, Chase Bank is letting you have a $10,000 credit limit. If you spent all $10,000 on the credit limit, that means that utilization is maxed out at 100%. If you have $10,000 credit limit and you're only using like 70 bucks, that's 7%. I think, I'm not sure. I'm not good at mental math, but something like that. So you want to be below that 7% mark. But hey, let's say you are maxed out on your cards and you can't bring it down to the 7% or even 30%. Luckily for you, I got a couple tips here to help alleviate the high utilization resolution. First thing you want to do is if you actually have the money, just pay it off so you're not paying any interest. That's the most simplest thing you could do. The other option too is, if you have a friend or family member that you trust, give them something for collateral, borrow the money so you could bring the utilization down and get your credit score up. Just make sure you're actually going to pay them back though. By paying down the credit limits, the utilization is going to go down and therefore your credit score is going to go up. But hey, let's say nobody's willing to lend you out any money or you just don't have the money to pay it off yourself. One thing we can do is with the current cards that you have, apply for credit limit increases for those cards. All you got to do is call the number on the back of the card, give them a compelling reason as to why you need the increase. Say something like, hey, I'm going on this vacation. I have only a 10K credit limit. I need 20K to make this work. I wanted to do a lot of spending and I'm going to pay it off. Just give them some sort of reason. And more than likely, these guys are human too. They'll understand and increase your credit limits. And the reason why we want to do that is because your overall credit limits have increased. Now your total utilization is going to go down. So let's say you're maxed out 100% with a $10,000 credit limit and you bumped it up to 20,000. Now your 100% utilization is now at 50% utilization because we doubled the amount of credit limit that we have. And let's say that's just not going to cut it. The quickest fix to this is leveraging what's called either a personal or bridge loan. The idea of leveraging a loan is we're going to do a method called debt consolidation. Basically, we're moving the debt around to more preferable terms. So let's take the same example. Let's say you have a 10K credit card maxed out and you're paying 20% interest on the card. We can get approved for a loan that gives, let's say, an interest rate of 15%. Use that loan to pay down the 20% interest credit cards. Now you just saved yourself 5% interest. But wait, let's take it a step even further. Now that our utilization is paid down, our FICO score is gonna go up, and now we could start qualifying for 0% interest personal and business credit cards to pay back the personal/bridge loan that we just used. So basically, we're taking that 15% loan, paying it off with a 0% card, and now we're not paying any interest at all. Now you just saved yourself money, your score is gonna go up, and now you kind of got your head out of the water to be able to breathe and not drowning in high interest rates. And if you guys are interested to learn more about the high utilization solutions, I'm gonna leave a link to the Google Doc that has everything laid out line by line, basically everything I talked about, the different loan options that you could use, and it has a little summary of what's really good about them. So you get to have your own choice. Just make sure on the links below, you just request access. We'll just need your email to share it with you and you'll get full access to all that. All right, so the third most important factor in your credit score is going to be your credit age. This makes up 15% of your credit score. And if you want to have an 800 credit score, you're going to want to have at least 20 years of credit age on your file. Unfortunately, this isn't something that you could really hack. And that is why I'm always a proponent of telling people get started with your credit as soon as possible. Luckily, there are two different hacks that we could use to speed up this aging process to mature your credit age. I'm gonna save the big game changer one towards the end so you can actually watch it. But the first one is you're able to get a secured credit card if you're under 18. So this is called the STEP secured credit card for teenagers. So this is a really great option for people wanting to start building up their credit. So by the time they turn 18, they aren't starting from square one. By the time they're 18, they already have a pretty solid credit score. I'm gonna leave the link to that credit card application. I don't get any kickback from it. I'm just really highly recommend it if you wanna actually start building up the score sooner rather than when you turn 18 if you're young. The fourth factor that makes up your credit score is hard inquiries. This only makes up 10% of your score. Typically speaking, hard inquiries take about like a 5 to 10 point hits on your credit score, so it's not too much. But with hard inquiries, this is anytime a lender is gonna run your credit file. So they're gonna check your credit score. This is like, for example, like auto loans, they're notorious for running your score like 10 times for one loan. Even mortgages, they'll run your credit score multiple times. And it really sucks because it starts dinging at your score as it adds up. And these inquiries stay on your file for 2 years. So they're gonna be on there until they naturally fall off. But luckily, you guys are in luck. So the other way to fast track that process is you could dispute those hard inquiries, especially if you weren't even the one to actually authorize it. And with the credit repair dispute process, you could get those removed in as little as 24 hours. Again, that is something my credit repair company offers. It's gonna be somewhere on the screen if you wanna learn more about that credit repair process. But it's a hell of a lot better than waiting 2 years versus, just waiting 24 hours. And with hard inquiries, you could dispute things that you didn't authorize, something like a credit limit increase, denials, mortgages, auto loans, open business credit card approvals that you never authorized. So do not dispute open personal credit cards because they will close out the account. Only dispute them if you didn't authorize it. And in order to have that 800 plus credit score, you don't want to have more than 2 typically on your credit file. Again, it's not that big of a deal if you have a couple, but people with 800 credit scores, they have no more than 2. All right, 5, 5, 5. Stay in a 5, stay in a 5. All right, so we made it towards the end. And if you guys gotten any value from this at all, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I don't make any money out of this. I just really like posting content and, being able to provide value. And, hopefully if you guys want to work with me, then that's great. If not, I just hope you guys get value from this. But we're down to the 5th and final factor that goes into your credit score. The 5th and final factor is your credit mix. That makes up 10%. Again, just like the hard inquiries, it only makes up 10%. It's not too big of a deal. But essentially your credit mix is the types of credits and loans you have on your file. So these could be things like store cards, normal credit cards, mortgages, auto loans, student loans, anything where you're borrowing money. And people with 800 plus credit scores typically have 8 open accounts. In a separate video, I'm gonna show you the top 5 credit cards to have on your file that give the best benefits, perks, and highest credit limits, but I'll save that in a different video. But you already have 5 out of those 8 accounts right there. Then, you could either open up a store card. You don't need to force getting yourself a mortgage and auto loan just to get a 800 credit score. Just get it when you actually need it. That'll happen in its own time. Don't just start getting these cards if you don't actually need them, or these different types of loans. Only get them if you need them. All right. If you stuck with me this far, this is where things get saucy. So I told you guys I got some secret tips that are gonna exponentially increase and fast track your success. So thank you for sticking this far. The couple of options I got for you, the number one fast track hack is being added with what's called authorized users. Authorized users are an absolute game changer to boosting up your FICO score. Because if you get added to an authorized user card, let's say your mom or something, She has a really old credit card. She's got 20 years plus credit age on it. Her utilization is below 7%. She has really high credit limits, no late payments or negatives or anything like that. Then you're gonna adopt that credit card's authorized user credit file, and it's gonna go onto your credit file as well. You're hopping on as basically as a cosigner on the credit card. And the nice thing about this is there's no risk to the person whose actual card it is, because they could add you as an authorized user and they could always just cut up the card so you don't actually have access to use or spend it, but you're at least getting to benefit from that card's credit file and history. Now, some super secret hacks to getting awesome trade lines for authorized users are, we got 2 websites. Let's say you don't have anyone who's willing to add you on as an authorized user. We got something like called Coast Trade Lines and tradelinegenie.org, basically to where you could pay for those types of authorized users. One thing to note though is make sure they do make on-time payments for the cards that you're getting added as an authorized user, because the same way you could adopt the good for it, you could also adopt the bad. So if you're on somebody who isn't super responsible with that card, then it's gonna negatively reflect on you as well. The other thing to note is with Coast Trade Lines and tradelinegenie.org is I believe these are only on there temporarily, so it's not a long-term fix, but if you just need the temporary credit boost, then by all means, what the heck, go for it. All right, what did we learn? So we learned the 5 key factors that go into your credit score, which ones are the most important, how to optimize each of those factors, and I even saved a couple tips for you guys with authorized users to help fast track that credit age, getting more perfect payment history, bringing down that utilization. And if you follow all those steps, you will see your score rise. And especially if you're using the credit repair process just to kind of speed that up if you do have any negatives on your credit file. Also, I am doing another giveaway on top of what I've already been doing. Is I do have a free monthly funding giveaway for where I give free funding round to anyone who subscribes to the YouTube channel and follows me on Instagram. I get them free funding. And then on top of that, just by liking, subscribing, and following me on IG, I'm also going to be choosing a couple people each month to where I'm going to be wiping off their inquiries completely free off their file to help boost up that score. Again, all you got to do is like, follow, and subscribe. Hit me up on IG once it's done, and I will hook you guys up. I'll get you entered in the raffle, and I'll choose someone each month. With inquiries, it's going to be a little bit easier because I'm going to be choosing a couple people for that. And as usual, thank you guys so much for sticking around. This is MTV. You already know it's your boy Miggle. The M is for Miggle, money, motivation. Peace out. Much love. Stay beautiful. See you guys in the next one.